Riversedge was a small town. It had a big heart. Everyone knew each other. They were like family. There was Mr. Johnson, the kind mailman. He always had a smile. Mrs. Garcia owned the flower shop. Her flowers made everyone happy. Riversedge was a special place to live. The children loved Riversedge. They played in the park. They rode their bikes. They swam in the river in the summer. Jake and Chloe were best friends. They lived in Riversedge. They loved to play together. Election day was coming. The town was excited. People gathered at Pete's Diner. They talked about the candidates. They debated their plans. Pete's Diner was buzzing with excitement. Jake and Chloe went to Pete's with their parents. They listened to the grown-ups talk. They heard about the school board election. It sounded important. Jake was curious. He had never voted before. He wondered why people voted. Jake went to the library. He wanted to find a book. The book was about voting. Mrs. Miller was the librarian. She was very helpful. "Why do people vote, Mrs. Miller?" Jake asked. "That's a great question, Jake," said Mrs. Miller. "Voting is important," said Mrs. Miller. "It's our chance to make our voices heard." She explained how voting helps decide who leads the community. She told him about the different positions. Jake listened carefully. He was starting to understand. Section 4. Every vote makes a difference. The next day, Jake went to the bakery with his mum. He saw Mr. DeMarco. Mr. DeMarco was the baker. He always had fresh bread. "Mr. DeMarco, why is voting important?" Jake asked. "Well, Jake," said Mr. DeMarco, "every vote counts. Imagine you have a jar of jelly beans," he said. "Each vote is like a jelly bean." He explained that more jelly beans of one colour meant something. It meant that more people wanted that flavour. Jake understood. He loved jelly beans. "So even my vote can make a difference?" he asked. "Absolutely," said Mr. DeMarco with a smile. Section 5. Get out the vote. Jake and Chloe were excited. They wanted everyone to vote. They made posters. Their posters encouraged people to vote. They hung them all over town. They went door to door. They reminded people about election day. People smiled when they saw Jake and Chloe. They were inspired by their enthusiasm. Jake and Chloe felt proud. They were doing their part. They were helping their community. Section 6. Election day arrives. Election day arrived. The town was buzzing again. People went to vote. They were excited to make their voices heard. Jake and Chloe went to Pete's Diner. They wanted to hear the results. The results came in. The new school board member was Mrs. Miller. Everyone cheered. They were happy with the results. Jake was happy too. He had learned a valuable lesson. He learned that every vote counts. He learned that even one voice can make a difference.